Our mission is to bring together the best venture capitalists to compete so you have the insights on how to invest with the best. Here we go. So our first contender, affectionately known as your favorite VC's favorite VC. He runs Rare Breed Ventures, $10 million pre-seed fund that invests in exceptional founders. Matt Conwell. Right. Currently raising, Mac going to be sitting over here, currently raising Fund 2, $75 million. So Mac is raising some capital if you got some cash and you want, Yes, there you go. All right, next up, founding partner, Female Founders Fund, a $57 million early stage venture fund that invests in female founder companies. She's helping shift the VC industry as a whole to make more investments in female founded companies. Make some noise for Anu Dugal. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Anu. You may know this next VC. He actually won the last round live and in person, known as the Human Rolodex. You can boo him if you want. We like that banter. Known as the Human Rolodex, founding general partner, Eniac Adventures, the firm that'll get you from seed to Series A the quickest on their fifth fund, which just closed $125 million. Nahal, Meta, come on, Nahal, come on. We got places to be. And lastly, founding partner, excuse me. I'm announcing you again. Rare Ventures, $25 million fund. Here we go, and 1,000 Angels, a founding partner, 1,000 Angels. Reading is not my big thing, Investing company.
I'm Erica Dyke.
Yes. Woo! Seed to Series A. Commitment to building a portfolio company, Erica, thank you so much. All right, so we're good. I think we're going to jump into the first question. I got to get comfortable here. You guys are all comfortable. I'll let you hold this. No. The winner, here we go. All right, so first question, we're going to jump right in. And the doll is going to run the video. There we go. Fund Flex. Explain your investment thesis, strategy, and share a recent investment that you made that really aligns with your fund thesis. I'm going to give it to Erica first to explain your fund so everybody understands, where you come from. I obviously didn't do a good job, so here's a good starting point.
Usually it's my last name, it trips everybody up from the beginning. So hi everyone, I'm Erica, founding partner at Rain Ventures. We're a seed stage fund that invests in consumer tech and software companies. We like to do a first check at Series Seed and then follow on in Series A and Series B. We are 2 Black female GPs, which is incredibly rare in the venture industry. Thanks. And we have a focus on bringing capital and more to undercapitalized founders. So wonderful to meet you all. I would say a really great example of our fund thesis, which is to invest in folks who are using technology to bring communities together to solve big problems, is a fantastic company we invested in last quarter called Tribute. They're using a really cool video technology to help people recognize big moments in life in a group way. So we're thrilled to have led their seed round last year, and we see big things for them in the next couple of years.
Very nice. Nahal, you're up next. Eniac Adventures, tell us about it.
Hey guys, I'm Nahal. I won the whole thing last time around.
The champ.
Yeah, the champ.
Goat.
Eniac is a fund that I co-founded 12 years ago with 3 buddies from college. We're all engineers, so as you can tell, the name Eniac is a little weird. The words derived from the world's first automated computer. So yeah, we're engineers, like I said. And we like to write the largest institutional check pre-product market fit. So that basically means before the Series A, before there's any kind of network effects or revenue in a business. We're generalists, so we usually invest in 4 quadrants: consumer, enterprise, dev tools, and frontier tech. Within frontier tech, we're doing more Web3. Companies you've heard of, Uber, Airbnb, Attentive, Boxed, Owlet, Ironox, X-Wing, we've all had the pleasure of working with, and and more. Hopefully we can find some great investments in the audience or online.
There you go. There you go. Mac, I'm going to pass it to you.
How's it going, everybody? My name is McKeever Conwell. Most people know me as Mac. If you follow me on Twitter, it's Mac the VC. I am founder and managing partner of Rare Breed Ventures, a pre-seed to seed venture fund based out of Baltimore, because Baltimore is the greatest city on the planet. Sorry, New York. We invest primarily outside the major tech hubs, outside of Silicon Valley, New York, and Massachusetts. Early stage, and we're generalists, so we invest in everything except for bio, because I don't have a PhD, I'm not that smart, so I stay away from therapeutics. If I'm going to talk about a company that speaks to our thesis, I'm actually going to talk about one of my first companies, because they're one of the reasons why we have the thesis we have. And so part of our thesis is we care about, if you're a software company, we like to see a clearly repeatable or unique customer acquisition strategy. Because you don't have to have a lot of customers, but you need to know where you get your customers. And so back in the day, when I was working for the state of Maryland, then again out of Rare Breed, I invested in this company originally called ScholarMe, now called Path. The founder's right over there, gentleman by the name of Femi. Femi, wave to the folks. The amazing thing.
There we go.
So the amazing thing about Femi in that company, I met him when he was 16. He was a high school student, telling me he was a growth hacker and he was really arrogant. And then he told me he wanted to create this really cool company, and I was like, that's great. It was an idea that was never going to make any money, so whatever, kid, keep talking. And then he told me he got 25,000 users in his first 3 months. I was like, how'd you do that? He said, Venmo's a social media app. I found all my friends who were 16 and sent each of them a penny with the message that here's money for college. If you want more, check out ScholarMe. It's the smartest thing I ever heard, and I begged for him to take my money.
It's a nice hack. Good job. There you go. Anu?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. Anu Dougal, founding partner of Female Founders Fund. So pretty literal. We invest in tech companies started by women. I started the fund now about 8 years ago. We're investing out of Fund 3. And we invest seed, pre-seed, and in terms of areas that we are excited about, so consumer and enterprise, definitely doing more as it relates to Web3, like Nahal said. And in terms of a company that we have invested in, I think one that really speaks to our thesis is Maven Clinic. So it's not a recent investment, but last year they actually became our first unicorn. And the founder, Kate Ryder, I met actually the same year I started the fund, and she had a really, I think, innovative thesis around really reframing healthcare as it relates to women and building a product that put the consumer first. Had a really hard journey to kind of prove that out to investors, but is now the market leader in the space. And I think the recognition that women spend trillions of dollars on healthcare has now been proven and accepted by the investor community. So a real testament to, I think, the opportunity around investing in women.
Right. Absolutely. Great brand there, too. We're going to put the Slido up. This is a little funny, this first voting, because it's kind of like a popularity contest, but we're going to have a little bit more of a debate as we go on. So vote for one of your VCs, maybe the one that invited you here. And then we'll have, that's what I'm assuming is going to happen. And the Slido is up, and as people are voting, have any of you worked on any deals together or any recent investments?
It's funny you say that, because Anu's amazing case study, she loves to rub it in to me because we passed on the seed. And it was a very painful pass, and she makes sure I know
It's a constant reminder.
that we passed every time that we're together.
It's good. You should. Keep reminding him. I'll remind him too.
Nihal and I angel invested in one deal together, and then I also angel invested in one deal that his fund did. So we have a few overlaps.
Okay. Well, to one up, Mac's raising a fund too, so I don't know if you guys want to throw some in there. But
If anybody wants to invest in a fund,
$75 million fund.
I need to catch up. I need to do some co-investments with y'all. I got to work on that.
Is that you on?
Oh, look at that. We got the results in.
More coming.
First winner is Mac. Mac, you won the first round. Congratulations. Unbelievable, Mac. The guy from Baltimore comes to New York and wins the first round.
See how it worked out?
There you go. There you go. Better start than last time. That's for sure. Hot investment sectors. We're going to roll this one here. Let me jump into it. Web3 is obviously a very hot sector. I think we've heard it already here. Web3 versus everybody. What's the hottest investment sector? What's the case? I'm going to bring it back. What's the case for why Web3 won't be the next big thing? Feel free to update us on Web3 and what's going on. Nahal, you've been very outspoken about Web3, so I'm going to give it to you. And I think you dropped some knowledge on us last time. So where are we at with Web3?
Yeah, I think we're like Web 2.01 right now. Like I feel like there's a lot of Web3 energy. It's like, feels like it's 1999, 2000 of Web3 for the internet, or maybe 2010 of mobile in terms of it being super, super early. And anyway, I think there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of developers, there's a lot of engineering, but there's a lot of fucking scams. So, did you read the $3.6 billion heist yesterday? What's funny about that is it only intended to be a $71 million heist. But thanks to crypto appreciation, they're going to spend many more years in jail. The money part's just the tip of the spear, and I think there is real, like a fundamental computing shift in blockchains, but it's still a good 5, 6, 7 years away. We have to pay attention to it because this is when the next Google of Web3 or the next Facebook of Web3 is going to be created, like right now, but it's not going to be really noticed or fully germinated for another 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I would just add to
Go
that.
ahead.
Obviously there's a lot of hype around Web3, but I think one of the topics that I don't think gets enough attention is really the impact on climate. So just as a stat, last year in 2021, the amount of CO2 that was released through mining was actually the same as the entire country of Greece, which is nuts. And so I think there needs to be an evolution in the way that Web3 just views the environmental impact of what's being built, and I think we're, again, as Nahal said, just at the beginning.
Erica, you got thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. It's incredibly energy consumptive, but it's also really expensive to put everything on the blockchain, right? Like, not everything needs to be Web3. The other thing is that, folks are saying, hey, we want everything to be decentralized because we don't trust people, but do you want to trust a machine, right? When you have a problem or, there's something that needs to be addressed or fixed, now it's sort of in the hands of some code. So there's risk really on both sides. And, the other looming sort of issue that is really going to affect how we use cryptography to program things and create these networks is the onset of quantum computing, right? Once that's a real thing, and that's really in the near term, probably within the next 10 years, all of this kind of goes out the window. So some ideas as to why it may not be as successful as we expect.
Mac, Web3. It's going to work? No? Yes?
So Web3 is going to be a thing. It's going to work. To Nahal's point, this is the time period where the next giant companies are going to be made, right? And if you look at it, every successful company you see today, there's going to be a Web3 version of it that's going to displace it, right? If you look at Femi and his company Path, they're going to replace Discover Card. Yes, I said that out loud because he says it all the time. But when I really recognized that was true was when I met a company called Oasis Calling. It's a video calling platform. Okay, so what? Well, what they do is they have you come in, get your hair, makeup done, take pictures of you, and then create a photogenic avatar of yourself. So now every time you get on a video call, it's that avatar of your best self all done up. And so the founder's demo is him in the shower while doing a business meeting, and everybody sees him in a shirt and tie having a conversation with them. And it's like, oh yeah, that's how you disrupt Zoom. Because in my mind, I couldn't conceive a company that could disrupt Zoom until I saw that. And then, oh yeah, that avatar can now go into the metaverse. And so now all these virtual land and all these virtual homes have, you see where I'm going with this, right? It's going to be a time before we get there, but it's going to come. And it's going to get really weird and crazy because they're also like, hey, we're working with celebrities. So imagine if Rihanna has an avatar and she lets you borrow it for 15 minutes. And you can be Rihanna for 15 minutes in the metaverse. Really creepy stuff, the kind of stuff you see in sci-fi, but that stuff is coming, and there's going to be some amazing things that come out of it. There's going to be some really crazy and creepy things that come out of it. And so the one thing we're not talking about is when we talk about governance and all this other stuff, how are we going to make sure we have some guardrails to make sure that these things aren't going to be used very maliciously?
Do we want to before we open up to the polls, any other shout outs to Web3 companies? I'm going to skip you, Nahal, because I know you want to jump right into this. Erica, do you have anything that you want to jump in with there?
I think metaverse, yes, going to be huge. I think, everything needing to be a blockchain company, probably resulting in some scams. And I absolutely think, I would advise everybody as this ecosystem is growing, be really careful who you send your Ethereum to by DM.
Anu, you got it?
Yeah, I mean,
Web3?
I would just add, I think, final point for me is around, this concept that Web3 is going to also enable more accessibility as it relates to women and as it relates to people of color. I think, unfortunately, whether you're looking at Bitcoin holders or people who are just participating in Web3, unfortunately, we're not seeing that. I think we have a long way to go, and power is really being consolidated with the same types of individuals. So I think that's a really important point that needs to be addressed now before we, kind of get too far into it.
Right.
We need to de-bro crypto.
That's a shout out to a nice podcast that Nahal started. Let's put the Slido up, and why don't you give a little shout out to your podcast that you have, D-Bro in Crypto.
Podcasts everywhere. D-Bro in Crypto. It really exists.
Basically in the hall showing
It's
right
the,
now.
It's the Nahal show. It's the Reshma Nahal show. And it's every Thursday at 5 o'clock live on LinkedIn. But we have 4 episodes. The first episode we just dropped on Spotify, so you can check it out.
And Mac is the king of the Twitter sphere right now, doing spaces every other time. So if you're not following everybody, you should follow them on Twitter. But Mac has been doing some
You're in
big things in
Spaces like
spaces.
every night, right?
Every night.
I did 2 yesterday, and that's like the first time I'd
So
done them in a
Clubhouse
while.
is dead, right? It's
Cl-
over?
I would think so.
Right.
Yes. I'm not a fan of Clubhouse.
Meerkat of the 2020.
Oh, by the way, for all the parents out there, there is a company called Early Bird. It allows you to quickly and easily create custodial accounts for your children. They just released the ability for you to do it with crypto as well. So if you check out Early Bird, you can now buy your kids Bitcoin and Ethereum, and your friends and family members can do it as well. All my godkids are now getting $20 in Ethereum every month.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
There you go. We got a winner for this round. Nahal took that round. Good win. Good win. Got to even out this. Let's jump into the next question. We have 2 more questions. We're making some cuts, so here we go. Big news, the current volatility in the public markets. It's a lot of questions to where the private funding environment will be in 2022. Flip side, last month, global funding in private companies clocked in the $61 billion. So basically, is there going to be a slowdown this year, or is it going to be bigger than next year, or are we talking what's the current market like? Where are we? What should founders be most aware of the current fundraising landscape? Anu, you kick us off with this.
Sure. So I think we all know last year was an incredible year as it relates to valuations, exits, but then also I think we saw a lot of companies that were highly overvalued in the market, and I think we're starting to see that correction happen now. And I think particularly what we're seeing from a portfolio perspective is folks like Tiger, Coatue, who have public market exposure are now kind of taking back term sheets, retrading. I think there's a recognition that the multiples we saw last year are not necessarily going to be what we see in 2022. As it relates to, I think, advice for founders, I think that ultimately there's still a ton of capital in the market, particularly at the seed stage. As a seed stage investor, I will say, what concerns me is when you launch a company or when you're raising capital for a company and it's pre-launch and it's a 30 pre. I think what a lot of founders don't recognize is that the milestones that you're going to need to get to a Series A increase significantly. And whatever size of round you're raising, the bar is very, very high. And so I do hope that correction will happen in 2022.
Matt, current fundraising landscape, give it to us.
Yeah, so we've seen some volatility in the market. Crypto's been down. We've seen the capital markets kind of take a dip and bounce back up. From the capital side, a lot of that just had to do with raising interest rates, and now companies are having to pay higher in taxes, so earnings look a little off. We've seen that kind of correct, and the market's going to be doing strong. We don't know. The market has cycles. There's ups and downs. You never know when those ups and downs are going to come, so it's all about timing. But do I think it's going to slow down? Not really, right? We saw in 2020 the rise of SPACs and saw a whole bunch of liquidity come in the market. Last year, there was a period of over 90 days where every day over 800 new millionaires were created because of crypto. It's a lot more liquidity in the market. The more liquidity there is, there's more money for you, there's more money for us. Some people are scared that it's going to start slowing down. We've been in the bull market for a really long time. I don't actually think it's going to slow down yet. I think it's going to keep going. And so for founders, I would say, hey, timing's still hot. The market's kind of stable right now. Money's flowing. Folks like Tiger and SoftBank yeah, they may be slowing down a little bit, but they ain't the only players in space. And they're also going to still be writing checks. So they writing checks, I'm writing checks. Let's all get these markups.
Erica.
Yeah, well, the expression unicorn means something should be really rare, but in the last few years, we've seen over 1,000 new unicorns be minted. And I remember last year saying to my husband, why is every company worth $30 billion now? It's like they just pulled, it's worth $30 billion. So, I really believe that our economy is healthiest when valuations are sane, reasonable, and based on, actual future cash flows. So I think that this pullback in the market is actually great for the ecosystem and how capital is being allocated at the early stage. We always underwrite our investments really conservatively and look for companies that aren't just giant cash Ponzi schemes. And I think that the new opportunities in the public markets for asset managers to allocate capital and still find return there may create a little bit less of a frothy environment in the private markets. But private market valuations are still going to be strong. There are a lot of asset managers that are interested in funding companies to stay private longer, and we're still going to see a ton of value in that sector.
I think right now you're seeing the real kind of market. The government has stopped life support on the economy. There's no more PPP. There's no more injections of crazy capital. And so the fact that that stopped, the quantitative easing has stopped, and yet Amazon and Google are crushing earnings, right? And their stock is flying. I think there's something to be said about that. So I'm bullish, obviously, in terms of the private market. The growth stage, to everybody's point, is becoming compressed significantly. Seed is pretty well isolated because thanks to a bullish market, a really bullish market last year, Andreessen raised their $500 million seed fund, Greylock raised their $400 million seed fund. A lot of those guys are motivated by fees, unlike some other guys on this panel right here. And so everybody else, basically. And so what that means is those guys want to deploy capital as quickly as possible so they can go back to the bank, raise another fund, right? Andreessen has like 400 employees. We love those guys, happy to take their markups, but they have very different incentives, which is we just got to keep on investing. We got to deploy this capital as quickly as possible. And so for that reason, seed is going to be, I think, fairly well isolated, and still, it's a fucking great time to be a founder right now. It's the best time. Past 2 years have been an epic time to be a founder. If you have any idea, semblance of any idea, you can go raise a pre-seed or a seed round. To Anu's point, which is extremely important, like you raise it at 30 or 50 posts, and you unfortunately have to grow into those big shoes. And we're going to see a lot of those founders not being able to do that and floundering and dying or having down rounds. But otherwise, if you've got an idea, it's a great time to go out and raise.
I will say, I want to make a point on that though. Like, everybody keeps talking about how frothy the market is and it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. It's still fucking hard to raise money. I don't care who you are, raising capital is still hard. So like, I know we come up here and we talk about all these numbers and how great it is. Like, you founders, like, y'all doing the real work, it's still hard. We're not trying to marginalize and make it sound like it's supposed to be easy.
Let's put the Slido up. I think that was pretty good right there. So it's a great market right now, and you guys are all going to invest in everybody here, and we're all going to keep doing this, and we'll have a nice community. That's what community is, right?
Awesome.
Unbelievable. Anything else do you want to throw in here?
I just want to say too, what Max said is so true. It's really difficult to raise capital, but then the worst part is that once you've raised that money, that's actually when the truly hard work starts, right? You've really got to, spin gold out of straw. So, every dollar that you take, you're expected to 10x it, and you got to be a really special and crazy hardworking person to do that. So we're grateful for the founders that give us the opportunity to partner with them in that.
Any last thoughts?
No, I think everyone said it very well.
I think we got a winner, Erica. Look at that, Erica taking the rounds.
I like that spin gold out of straw.
You can use that. You can steal it.
There we go.
Who was that character?
Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Rumpelstiltskin?
Yeah. Wasn't he the one who was like, yeah.
That'd be a good name of that'd be a horrible name of a
We're going to move into predictions. We got beef, recent controversy surrounding Y Combinator, the largest accelerator, and Silicon Valley Elite has inspired Bolt CEO to create a new kind of accelerator. Also, Launch House just picked up $12 million to accelerate their unique model. So are accelerators dead? Now that startups can be built anywhere, what will replace the traditional accelerator model? I'm going to start with you, Mac.
So I have some comments based off of what the Bolt CEO said, but YC is like the Illuminati, so I'm gonna keep those to myself. I'm gonna stick to the question. Are accelerators dead? Kinda. Most accelerators don't work, right? Most of the companies that go through most accelerators don't go on to successfully raise capital and grow the way that the story is told, right? There are some top accelerators. You got your YCs, your 500s, your Techstars. They do really well. The vast majority of them don't. Are they dead? No, because there's still an opportunity for founders to learn. Like myself, when I was a first-time founder, had I not gone through those accelerators, I never would have learned the basic things that helped me get to my second company and helped me get to the point where I'm a VC. So do accelerators work in the way they were intended? Not really, but are they a necessary part of the ecosystem? Absolutely.
Erica.
Yeah, well, I used to be a managing director at an accelerator called Eniac Adventures. I actually, what? Oh, yay, good for you. So I was a managing director in New York for 3 cycles, which was such amazing training for, managing a VC fund, right? I got to very intensely spend a lot of time on the ground, elbow to elbow with like 15 different startups at the same time. Some amazing companies that have come out of that accelerator, including one that's now public. SeatGeek was there when I was there, which you guys probably all know is huge in New York. Head Out, an amazing company that came out of our accelerator program in New York, and many others. I personally think that there are the Harvard and Yale and Princeton of accelerators, but all accelerators, if they have a great reputation and good quality partners running them, can be incredibly helpful to founders because a lot of people don't have access to what we call friends and family capital, right? That first sort of $25,000 to $125,000 that people so desperately need to get their businesses off the ground. So I see accelerators filling a really important role in being an avenue for people to get that initial cash, as well as just to have some structure and support around, a 12-week timeline to really create some traction and validate your business model. You're not only determining whether or not this is a viable investment for other people, you're also determining whether or not you should be investing your most valuable asset, which is your time and energy in that startup. So for that reason, I'm very bullish on accelerators, and I think that you should definitely vet them before you hand over equity in exchange for whatever cash and time they're giving you.
Well, mixed opinion there. I like that. Anu?
Yeah, I would actually pose the question in a different way. So I think ultimately when you think about accelerators, it's really the founders that are making a decision to join an accelerator and to be a part of an accelerator, and why are they doing that, right? And I think to your point, obviously there's a lot of structure, a lot of training, but at the same time, you are giving up equity. And I think that, that from a founder's perspective is meaningful. And I think that, again, we just talked about this, there's at the seed stage, I think a lot of capital out there. And so from a founder's perspective, I think there is a little bit of, is it worth it if I, have access to that friends and family capital to give up a pretty, not small part of my business. Right. And I think that, that's a consideration I think founders are definitely, are forced to think about. Right. So I think that, there are definitely some great accelerators, but I think the model of, the equity piece of it is something that, could be disrupted.
You got to think about that, absolutely. No.
Yeah, to Anu's point, I mean, some of these accelerators got a little greedy recently. Namely some of the Illuminati ones that will remain unnamed, but everybody knows who they are. And so I don't think that's cool, That's like a big tax on founders at that stage. And especially to change that, midstream, right? Something's up with that. But overall, I think I'm very bullish on accelerators. I think, Erica, you pointed out also that the time box that they also give founders to really iterate, to get through product market fit or as fast as they can to get to their demo day. And I think founders under pressure often perform better with that kind of structure and that time box. And so I think accelerators are great for a number of reasons, but don't give up a ton of equity. You know, it should be something very reasonable, something market, and not, you know, what the Illuminati asks for.
As we put up the Slido, can we give, obviously voting's in, but how about shout out, I mean, I'm going to skip you because you're not a big fan of the accelerators, but can you shout out some accelerators that maybe we could share?
Yeah, I mean, I think Techstars
Right.
is one. We've definitely backed some Techstars companies, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's one that's actually epic, I'm a mentor of, called Startup Leadership, and they actually take a crazy amount of equity, 0%. Absolutely unheard of. And actually, they've had maybe 10 or 11 annual cohorts now, and every cohort, the fellows like are super close. Like they become incredible friends, and they have gone through this experience together. So check out Startup Leadership.
Another one in New York where I've been a mentor for a really long time and have invested in some of their companies that have gone on to be really successful is ERA, Entrepreneurs Roundtable, Accelerator, woot woot. They're great.
Shout out to Techstars Baltimore, the Equitech Accelerator. You know, Baltimore is going to become an Equitech city. So as companies are building, they're building with the idea of equity in mind from the start.
Oh, I love that.
Shout out to Jenny Feldman over at Techstars too. We got to get her in there, you know? Fielding, baby. Get the two
fund.
mixed.
Who's starting a new fund?
We got a new one this round. Congrats, there we go. And now is the final percentage is here, and we're gonna just move 2 chairs to the side, so 2 banter, just to hammer people down here. It looks like the finals is Erica and Mac. How about that? There we go, Erica and Mac in the finals. So we're gonna do a little. I think we're gonna have to switch seats here. You're in the spotlight. I'll move this here.
Okay, you're coming down this way.
Erica, you're in the middle.
Oh, we're going in the middle ones, okay.
Here you go. Nahal,
There you go. You got to keep going.
a losing seat. Yeah, Nahal has lost
I'm back to the
in
finals.
an uncanny amount.
This is what a loser looks like.
That's the
It's a great
first time he
call.
won. It was great though.
Yeah.
It only took 15 times for him to win.
Yeah, it took a long
It was-
persistence phase.
Yes, absolutely. Participation award. It was great. All right, so we're in the finals. Money round. Here we go. We're going to move into the finals. Superpower. What's the biggest difference between founders that make it and the ones that don't? Erica, it seems like you're ready to
jump
go.
in here. Yeah, so I would say the biggest difference is just that you have to be absolutely dedicated to what you do, right? So it's passion, it's heart, and it's more than just, you know, starting a business to make money. It's really caring about solving a problem. We've seen our most successful founders, I feel like they would be working on this even if it wasn't turning into a company valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. So absolutely being passionate about your customers, solving that problem, and loving to go to work every day, to us is the big difference.
Mac.
So, you know, most people say that, and I want to agree with that. And like, a lot of that is true, but like the real superpower, a lot of it is timing and luck, right? And the best example I have of that is one of the last investments I made for the state of Maryland was for a company called Clear Mask. They make clear surgical mask. It was a group out of Johns Hopkins who was trying to get this off the ground. And everybody like, this is a novelty. It'll never be a big company. They sent it to the FDA for approval in January of 2020. In March of 2020, they got a $7 million order from the country of France. Yeah, that was all luck and timing. And yes, they had the grit. They had the passion. They were going to do this anyway because one of the founders was deaf. And she had an experience of going in to get a surgery done. And she couldn't understand what they were saying to her because their mouths were closed. And so they just put her under. So she just woke up, freaked out, and wanted to change something. And so that passion and wanting to change the world led to something that just happened to be a new type of surgical mask that used a different type of material at a time where nobody could find masks. So yeah, all the other stuff, you gotta have that at the start, but timing and luck plays a big part of it.
Right, right. We're going to save the Slido to the end. So we're going to let them all answer 3 questions, and then you're going to have the vote at the end. Anu, do you agree, or do you have any other things you want to throw in there?
So yeah, I would say the 2 things I think are most important, grit and market timing.
Okay. Nahal?
I think you create your own luck. Luck is the definition of luck, right? Is opportunity meets persistence, and
Right there, look
so
at that. That's it's luck. It was hard work. It was hard work. It's hard work. It was hard work.
And you can be like the CEO of Peloton and think you have timing and luck on your side, and then find out maybe now you didn't.
It goes both ways. It goes both ways, sure.
Speaking of Peloton, we're going to move on to the next question. That's well timed right there. Peloton, the home fitness juggernaut, was a pandemic darling, but now has shed $40 billion in market cap. Is this a one-off example or a part of a bigger trend for companies that saw great success during the heights of the lockdowns? Mac, over to you.
It's a bit of a trend, but also you got to look at Peloton, like their business model. Their business model was a subscription model, right? It's basically an in-home gym. Well, what does everybody do when they get a gym membership? They get it beginning of the year, and then after a couple months, they're not going anymore. And so the gym just hopes you never come back in to cancel. Well, with Peloton, you can literally just go on your computer and cancel, right? And so everybody who got a Peloton at some point, it became like a coat rack in their house. And so you just, what do you need that for anymore, right? That's not going to be for every pandemic company. Like some companies got really strong in the pandemic because the pandemic pushed this forward timeline for virtualization, right? Companies like Hopin, like they're here to stay, right? That's not going to stop. Is it going to be as extreme as it was where everybody's at home? No, because we're here, we're in person. This is great. But are we still going to now have more events that are going to be both in real life as well as virtual? Yes, that is going to be a thing. And so for those kind of companies, they're still going to stay strong. For companies that have flawed business models, well, you might lose $40 billion in market cap.
You agree with this, Erica? You want to take the other side?
You know, I think that there are some companies that are going to continue to benefit, right? They basically just had increased adoption, for example, like Zoom, right? We're all still going to Zoom much more than we did pre-pandemic, even once we're all back to sort of normal living. An example of a company that is, you know, sort of spiraling down in flames would be a Clubhouse, right? I mean, when was the last time you thought you should spend all night or all weekend hanging out on Clubhouse, you know, listening to people chat for hours? So it's really case by case. I mean, even with the Peloton case, you know, you'd think that maybe it's because people are going back to the gym, but there are a lot of, you know, poor business decisions that necessarily happen there. I know that our building was trying to buy a Peloton for our building gym. They wouldn't sell us one because they didn't want people sharing a Peloton. So this idea that every single person was going to put a bike in their, you know, master bedroom or their living room was kind of an insane expectation. So as we see, you know, people get less sort of irrationally exuberant about the stay-at-home stocks, we're going to see a normalization for those that, you know, people just got out of control about.
By the way, I know we're getting back to regular life, but to all you LPs out there, can we please keep first meetings to Zooms? I'm not looking to travel all over the country for first meetings for y'all to tell me no. If you want to tell me no, we can do it over Zoom. I'm cool with that. Thank you.
All right. Before we go last, you got any comments here? Any banter? You disagree, agree with anybody? No?
No's on Zoom, yeses in real life.
There you go.
Yes.
No?
That's great. Yeah.
Good. We
No,
agree.
it's by
We
email,
agree.
actually.
That's right.
Yeah. Then you're asking my facial reactions.
Final question of the night. Final question, right? What's the best and most creative cold pitch you've ever received, Erica?
Oh man, probably the most creative cold pitch I've ever received was for one of the companies that, you know, we actually invested in this year. They do an amazing like safety security bracelet that you just press a few buttons on it and it'll immediately have somebody call you and get you out of a date. So let's say you're like on a you're on a date with like a terrible guy. So, you know, they actually, you know, played the voicemail for us of sort of the other side of, you know, this friend of yours who's like, oh, yeah, oh, there's an emergency. Oh, great. You know, all right, sorry, I've got to go. I thought it was pretty amazing to see in real time, like how you would, you know, necessarily shut down a creepy date or a person who's making you feel uncomfortable with this super cool technology. So that was pretty fun.
It's a pretty good one. Mac?
So this one, it didn't happen to my fund, but it's a story from a company we recently invested in called Wove Made. They are a jewelry company. They are trying to be the Warby Parker of jewelry. So they're starting off with engagement rings. So you send them pictures of the kind of rings you like. And within a week, they send you a box with 3 or more replica rings for you to try on and get an idea of what you want. And then they do an online consultation for you to get your custom ring. Well, they wanted to work with an organization called Bullish, which happens to be a marketing and investment firm that helped launch Peloton, Warby Parker, Sundays, and other companies like that. And so what they did was, and this is kind of creepy, but it worked out, they found the addresses to some of the partners and sent them boxes with the replica rings, with a note in it telling them what they did. That led to them working with Bullish and getting an investment.
That's aggressive. Could work, could not work. We're going to open up the
Hey, it
Slido. As the polls come in, do you want to share your best cold pitch that you've received?
Yeah, I have a funny one. It's not exactly a cold pitch, but we're investors in a company called The Wonder, which is a family club that parents can bring their kids. There's a bunch of activities for kids to engage with, and
Just trying to get the votes. So
and
don't get distracted here.
and when we when they were going out to raise their Series A, they actually, in the final pitch meeting, one of the founders dressed up as a unicorn. So she came in with a full unicorn outfit, and I think everybody in that partner meeting was just blown away.
Gets the attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Nahal?
I mean, I have to do another plug. So the best cold pitches we get actually 3 times a week on the West Side Highway. We have a little running group called Pitch and Run. And actually there's a few pitch and runners here, right here, in the up front. So literally we have founders come up and while they're running, spill their guts. And we spill our guts back, and
Was it like 5 miles you got to run?
you don't have to do anything.
Sure. If you want the money, you got to run the 5 miles and hang out with me.
It's dialogue. You can walk, you can jog. But we've actually met founders there and backed them. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And by the way, I do want to tell everyone, inspired by Pitch and Run, I've actually just inked a partnership with Barry's Bootcamp to do fitness and funding. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, at Erica Minahan, we're going to be, I'm not a runner. I don't want to be out running on the cold ass West Side Highway. So if you want to come and do a Barry's with me, we're going to be opening up 2 slots a week, 6 a.m. for anyone to join me for a Barry's and then pitch our fund after for investment. So
6 is early, 9 o'clock for Pitch and Run.
yeah, we're early birds here at Rain. So
Beautiful.
set your alarm.
Which berries?
Tribeca.
There you go. Before we announce the winner, we're going to go to 48th Street, Sean's. It's a bar down the block, and have some drinks afterwards. Tonight's winner, episode, what are we on, 21, I think? Erica, congratulations, Mackie. Yes! There you go. There you go.
Thanks,
There you go.
everybody.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
She's got the stage,
much.
so
this
let's.
is amazing. I'm actually going to wear this places.
You want to give her the stage? Erica, this is you. We're walking off. And I think you got to
Okay.
go. Erica's stage.
Oh, I get to do.
It's your.
All right.
It's your stage. You talk. Erica, you get to. It's your victory
okay,
speech.
I get to say. Oh,
yeah, it's your
okay,
victory
all right,
speech. You have to
sorry.
dance.
I didn't know what the format
Yes.
was to this. Okay. I want to thank everyone who helped me get here.
Sorry for that.
The portfolio companies, the founders. All of my fellow seed stage VCs that have inspired me. I want to thank Mac, Anu, and Nahal for just providing such amazing conversation and really being phenomenal opponents. And I want to encourage you all, follow us on Twitter, Erica Minahan for my personal, at Rain VC for Rain Ventures. And if you're a startup raising money, we'd love you to go to our website, rainvc.com, and submit your application. And like I said, if you want to join me for fitness and funding at Barry's, I'd love to see you guys there. We will work it out. So thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you. We're going to do one last picture.
Okay.
Take a picture as a group. 48th Street, Sean's going to take one picture. My man over here, Lucas. I don't want to be in the middle. You guys are more important than me. You get. There you go.
Hey, Mary, give me a I'm season 1. I've won the whole season.